gentlemen, welcome to Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. I'm your host today, Luinda Hawazoka, and my co-host,
Japao Noah.
It's been a long time, huh?
Yes, Doc, it's been a while. How have you been? How's been the week?
No, the week has been extremely weaky. There's been a lot that has been happening. We're trying to, catch up with, a lot of things, but it's been a busy week. But overall, they say when you are busy, then you are living.
Definitely. What topic do we have today? What are we discussing?
Today we have, when we were kids, we used to, mothers to make ends meet, would buy bells of Sarauna and then go and resell them. Yeah, so when you open a bell, you would pick one or two clothes for yourself, then you would go to sell them at the market. I've sold at Makadori Market in Quito before, and in one shop before. So the best bell we used to like was a bell called Changa Changa. Changa. Okay, there was Changani. I think it used to be called Changa Changa. Where there was everything, because there are some bells where they're just trousers, some bells where they're just shirts, beddings, but where you can find anything. Those were the best bells. So today we have a topic which brings everything. So because we are discussing the economy, so we are talking about all the sweet things and the hot things that are happening to the economy. And but before we go that, I'll pass it over to you so that you can introduce to us not only the guest, but you can tell us what is obtaining in the markets.
We have a very interesting guest tonight to discuss this very interesting topic, which will touch on a number of things, okay, relating to our economy. Where we are headed to, we'll touch on the most talked about issue of the debt restructuring. We'll touch about how the economy will perform according to past events, what's been happening. There has been a declaration of a drought, hunger as a national So we'll touch on a lot of things. So to discuss this topic tonight, we have Mr. Emmanuel Zulu, an economist, a seasoned economist, to discuss this topic tonight with us, so stay tuned. But before we do that, let's look at the market updates and see what's happening on the exchange and money markets. The average exchange rates, the kwacha against the four major currencies. The dollar closed selling at 24 kwacha, 68 ngwe. The pound closed selling at 31 kwacha, 28 ngwe. The euro closed selling at 26 kwacha, 83 ngwe. The rand closed selling at 1 kwacha, 32 ngwe. Selected metal prices delayed by day. Aluminium closed selling at $2,334 per ton. Copper closed selling at $8,932 per ton. Zinc closed selling at $2,430. Lead closed selling at $2,023. Tin closed selling at $28,025. Nickel closed selling at $16,870 per ton. Crude oil prices. WTI crude closed selling at $85.41. Brent crude closed selling at $89.50. That's what we had for you today on the money market. Mr. Zulu, welcome to the program once more.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be with Doc.
Thank you very much. It's also a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our first thing, maybe your general comments on the exchange rate.
Well, it's I think it's something very difficult to celebrate if you see the kwacha within the 20 kwacha. I mean the kwacha trading, the dollar trading within the 20 kwacha range, because I think those are the ranges that we had when we had those issues of debt default. I think that was quite. Actually, we were actually below that. I think we were trading around 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So I know we were above 20, almost going beyond 27. But because of the news that came with the debt restructuring deal, the markets moved a bit, and there's that appreciation that we are able to see currently, but not backed by production, of course. So it's mostly speculative movements that is happening. More people just think probably the kwacha will perform better, and they start offloading some dollars and the likes. So nothing really has come from production to actually speak to the slight appreciation.
But with such a sentiment, weren't we expecting a more stronger kwacha?
It's expectation. So there has to be reality to it. If you're expecting, there has to be also the actual flow of dollars in the market. So now how the money markets work, it's similar to any market. There's supply and demand. So currently we still have low supply of dollar and still high demand. Zambia is import heavy. About 80% is of commodities are imported. So you need the dollar, But where are the dollars coming from? So you get to see that you're not exporting as much copper. Copper is a major forex earner. At over 70% of your forex comes from copper. But what we have are just new developments in the mining sector. Of course, we're having these Mopani issues being advanced positively, which is commendable, I should say. But the production hasn't really taken effect to a level where we can have sufficient flow of forex. And with the debt restructuring deal, is anticipation, of course, that we will have investment flows. So probably we might see positive changes as we go, but not really in the immediate term. I think what we are just seeing are just speculative movements.
Maybe this would be related to if you remember the first deal that was reached, I think sometime last year.
Yes.
There was one in October, and I think subsequently in November, it was said that the official creditor that had fallen off the table. Would that be the reason why maybe the markets are not as, or the market players are not as excited as they should be?
Well, I love the word you've used. They are excited, but not excited as they should be. Because there is some positive news that has come. Of course, we have the official creditors are agreeing to the agreement that Zambia signed with the bondholders of restructuring 3 billion. But I think even every investor would want to get to the details of these agreements, and they always have info beyond probably what an ordinary Zambian has. Probably you are waiting for someone to speak, and you get that as gospel truth. But these investors go a bit deeper. They get to have advisors that will tell them the details of these transactions, and also the prospects of the economy where they are investing in. So there are positives in the agreements, which we actually applaud, because they have made a bit of fiscal space for the country. But there are also downside risks that have come with the agreements that we've signed, especially with the official creditors themselves, as well as the Eurobond holders, where we are talking about the bond being reissued, 3 bonds being reissued in 2 bonds. We have bond A and bond B. You see, so you can see that there are also conditions tied to bond B that are quite a bit tricky for me, if you ask me to tell you plainly. In the case that it gives conditions that are favorable to the bondholders, in the sense that if Zambia's economy gets to improve in terms of maybe the debt carrying capacity moves from weaker state, as it was when we were doing the debt sustainability analysis in 2019, to maybe a medium or moderate state, then the conditions will change. So we will have higher interest probably, or higher repayments, and also they will shorten the repayment period. So meaning Zambia will pay more. So
that's circling back to.
So that's a vicious circle that I'm trying to see. Like, aren't we going to be in in development studies they call a poverty vicious cycle, where you just going round and round and round. So that is the worry that I think comes with that agreement in the other bond. Of course, it's also there in the OCC agreement, with the official creditors agreement. It's still there as well. If the conditions change, then the conditions, even the terms of the agreements will change. So looking at the present situation where we already have a drought this time around, so you don't expect much economic activities that can foster growth in the economy. So even the investors, they know that we've gotten this deal this time around. This same year, you're expected to pay the part of the payments towards the Eurobond, and I think they are a bit skeptic about the growth prospects for this year particularly. So the markets may not really be excited.
So when you look at the economy, there's what is happening around Mopani and the new investor. So there's a debate that it was not purchased. So if it was not purchased, how did the shares move from one patch to another?
Well, a very difficult case to analyze, if you ask me, if say no shares. But when there's transfer of shares and everything, definitely when I want to get in a company, I'll say, okay, sell me these shares, I'm buying these shares. Even if it's your company, say, Mr. Zulu, I want to give you part of the shares. There is that, it's called buy shares. It's for you to be part and parcel of that company. I bought 50% of shares, then I'm part and parcel. So when there's that arrangement taking place, I don't know how the lawyers will interpret it, but I'm just explaining from my understanding when there's that issue of shares moving from one person to the other, one ownership to the other. What
are the prospects now that Mopani is jointly owned between the new company, and what future do you think?
Well, I think it gives light, and in the case of Zambia's economy, because leaving it the way it was, I think there was more harm to the economy. With unlike the case where we now have an investor who is going to pump in money and also stimulate production. As you may be aware that we already have a target of production. We're talking about 3 million metric tons. But that is not possible if you have dormant mines and then nothing is happening. And then you have regions like Copper Belt that are predominantly dependent on mine. So if nothing is happening in the key mines such as Mopani mine, then you are killing even the economic activities around that area. Yeah, you are actually increasing poverty in that area, if I just bring it down to a layman's understanding. Yeah.
So you are watching Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. You can, we have opened the phone lines. You can call us on the numbers that are appearing on the screens if you're feeling a bit shy to call, or if you are economizing your talk time in this wonderful economy, you can send us your text messages also on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. Call us. When you call us, tell us where you're calling from. And today we're discussing Zambia's economic prospects. Debt restructuring, people have spoken about it. I'm tired about it now. Mopani, I think I haven't even given an interview about that. Let's talk about maybe livelihood in general. What's your feeling about liquidity? Issues surrounding investors. Do you think we have taken the right step, or probably government should have been recapitalized, because the government owns IDC, which owns ZCCMIH, which owns investors, and people's money are stuck. I have a colleague I work with, that's their primary bank, and I was saying, but how can you, of course, then
freeze people's salaries, because I think transactions are not taking place.
They are not taking place. People got paid.
Yes.
Over the weekend, they haven't even withdrawn the money. Maybe the timing of the
yes. Well, a very interesting development, and very unfortunate, if you ask me, because we need as many players in the market as possible, to foster competition, and also to give choices to people. And of course, Investors was considered to be one of the banks that was indigenously owned, and of course closely linked to the culture of Zambians. I think we were very saddened to hear that it has been taken over by Bank of Zambia on grounds of insolvency. So one would really wonder, at what point did we neglect the bank? Because ZCCMIH is actually owns about 70% or slightly over that bank. where did they sleep? When did they sleep? You know, did they just abandon it, or that was that the case? Or maybe they were also constrained in terms of resources to recapitalize it. So those are the answers that we may need to get. You know, I think we haven't really gotten a comprehensive statement. All what we get is that there was insolvency and the likes.
And also the regulators watching this happening. Where were they?
Well, if you look at the statement that has come from Bank of Zambia, they've really made it clear that they had engaged, you know, the owners several times to see how best they can, put their house in order. Of course, you must know that it's just not allowing the bank to operate. There are minimum requirements for you to be called a bank, or to be just called a non-bank financial institution. Of course, there are issues of capital, you know, of course you have this statutory reserve ratio and the like. So if a bank is failing to meet certain conditions that it's supposed to meet to operate as a bank, then it threatens even the financial system itself, because we wouldn't want to have, just people doing anything that they want. There is a regulator. The regulator is there to bring sanity and also to protect the integrity of the financial system and the stability. So Bank of Zambia, they're just acting within their mandate, just like they act on several issues like, you know, monetary policy. People will ask, no, they're raising monetary policy because then they just know the prices are unstable. Our role here, it is, you know, ensure that there is price stability. So they'll do just that, and they are protected by law. So if they see that the bank is failing to meet minimum, you know, requirements as by law, they won't care whether it's owned by the government or not. It's operating as a commercial entity, so it's also a player in the market. So for them to be fair, to be firm, and they will have to apply the same conditions to every player, unless the government, you know, does decide to recapitalize, attend to the issues that Bank of Zambia is bringing before them. I'll bring this to light because I once worked for a regulator. I won't mention the name. Yes. So you find that there are certain entities that were owned by government, and you find them on the wrong side of the law, because there are also other private players that are in the same market. You wouldn't want to, you know, separate how you're applying the law, you know, because that would be very unprofessional of the regulator. So if you are able to do that on a private entity, definitely you have to do it on the government entity, because they are operating as a commercial entity, so they have to abide by the rules. So that's the case with investors. In this case, they didn't meet their minimum requirements. So whether it was government's failure or the ZCCMH failure to recapitalize, and probably would want to know the reasons from ZCCMH, I think they should have issued a statement to actually to this regard, with regards to the development, why they didn't go ahead to maybe resuscitate this bank. And probably it was failure of management, because they are not there to always manage. The management is different altogether. So you are employing people, and probably people are not being innovative. They are not catching up with the trends. You know, banking has evolved. You know, you are now digital. We have got Airtel Money that is bringing competition. All these MTN, Zamtel. You know, there are all these digital platforms that people are using now. So you need to tap in like other banks have tapped in. You know, you can now transact moving money from this. But if you have a management that is, you know, a bit not aggressive enough or not meeting up to the competition, then you fall off, because you lose customers. You know, you lose business. You know, you're not making profit, but you're accumulating arrears and bills and everything. Then you fall into insolvency. Are
you alluding that this is a management issue?
I gave an example that there could be issues to do with management in this case, and then there could be issues also to do with maybe there was neglect from the owners, the shareholders. You know, there could be that maybe requests are being made by management to say, no, we need to recapitalize, and this, maybe we need this to be, you know, there are new projects that have come in. The bank is not able to have this money readily available. Can we have recapitalized?
The government passed a law recently that all government money should move from the central bank to from the commercial banks to central bank. Maybe that had also.
Well, I think that was done a bit recently, I think, but if you follow through the statement from Bank of Zambia, it seems the problems from investors were quite old. So I think it would be, very unfair to just blame it, maybe to just single it out to be the reason. But also, maybe we would also want to consider the measures that have been happening, especially within the monetary policy circles, where we have been trying to curtail inflation, using, monetary policy and statutory policy rates. I think that also could have put a strain on banks, because we've seen the statutory reserve ratio being raised, and I think recently we saw it being raised by, is it 150 basis points, which was too huge, I think, for some banks.
Well, at which percentage are we now?
It should be the 20 something, I think.
Something, yes.
Yes, we are about 20 years. So, which is a bit, quite huge for some small banks that don't have the financial muscle. Why I'm saying so, because some of these banks are able to survive, because you find they have financial support from other shareholders who are outside the country, and they've got branches across the country. So they're even able to get financing, cheap financing from wherever their parent company is or their parent bank is, and throw in the money to their the small banks here. But we have investors that is just locally owned, and there's liquidity is a bit stifled at the moment, so it's a bit hard even for them to get clients. Maybe people are resorting to cheaper ways of keeping money and also transacting, which makes banks unattractive. And especially when a bank is not very innovative and also catching up with technology, it definitely falls off. In any market, if you're not moving with time, you fall off. Just like Nokia, we had Nokia. I think it was one of the biggest companies in terms of phones. But times were moving fast. We had Chinese phones coming on board and all that. They couldn't move at that pace. What happened? They fell off. And we are now at Samsung. Now we had iPhone and all that. But they were.
On those days, I couldn't buy a Samsung.
You see.
Versus a Nokia.
Definitely. Yes. So you have to move with trends.
6610.
So there are quite a number of factors. So we cannot really single it out on ZCMH as the reason, or maybe Bank of Zambia being at fault. But I think you raise a very important point on the aspect of the customers. Quite unfortunate development, I should say, and it's quite inconveniencing. I think many people may view the action taken by Bank of Zambia to be unjust. But if you look at it, it's actually for the good of the public and the customers themselves. It may cause some disturbance in the flow of their finances and the likes. But if you allowed the bank to operate in the way it was operating in an insolvency state, probably they wouldn't even have found their money in their accounts. So the Bank of Zambia has to move and protect whatever is there, so that when people come to claim, they are given back something. So at least to protect the bank from continuing to operate in that state. And what if the bailiffs come and pounce on the bank and clients lose out? So the Bank of Zambia comes in to just protect that and ensure that everyone who has money in their accounts, they are given at the end of the day.
You're watching Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. We have opened the phone lines. You can call us on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. You can also send us text messages on the same numbers. We are discussing the state of the economy. There's a drought now, and I don't know the price of meme. I want to be very honest. I rarely buy that. I think the last time I got a bag of meme, and it was given to me as a Christmas present by a certain entity that I did some work for. That was in December. I still have the same bag.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm, I think, much more a bit of insulated, because my food base is diversified. Yes, I have said this because I'm advising citizens to also diversify their menu. Look at my weight. This is on Shima. That said, there's no food. There's food. I think we have eaten now. But there has been a drought. And the drought, we have seen load shedding, massive load shedding. We don't know how much harvest we are going to have. The food issue is not only going to be to maize, it's also animal feed, because the cows, they also eat meals. Meal number 3, dairy something, it's called something, dairy something. There is also pig mash, chicken mash. So all that you know, as an if we are competing for the few maize with animals, then what do you think is going to be the situation going forward, and what should we do to be able to mitigate or to minimize the negative effects of getting few rains? Although when I moved into Lusaka in 2017, my first rain season coming from the Copper, but there was no rains. 28th, I think, I remember I came 2017, 2018. The rains finished, the last rains were there 28th of January, and we didn't have any more rains. That has happened in Lusaka now. Yes. I remember doing a bore in August. The land was dry. No, also in April, as if we were not in rain season. So, what do you think is going to, you know, to be the problem, or how can we mitigate the negative effects
and also just considering that it's actually a double-edged sword. You know, no rain, less food, no water, as we are highly dependent on hydro.
Kwa kwa tuwaenda tukuisana ikuikata waticha na wakuma urefa panganda wasanga tapala malight ezuteke pakabwaji. What do you think? Sorry for the Bemba.
No, that's right. It's one of the languages actually we use commonly in Lusaka. No. Well, it's a good point that has been raised, and I'm glad that we are all acknowledging that there is a drought, which is a natural disaster. And there's very little to do with policy in hedging a drought, you know. So you can't really do much to stop a drought. Of course, there are issues that you can do with, afforestation and all the likes, you know, to counter climate change effects. But I think the drought has hit more than, you know, one country. So you're talking about Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and everything. So you can see that you know, it's beyond us as a country only. So definitely we are more dependent on rain-fed agriculture, and this drought speaks more to food security at the moment, and that also speaks to the staple food, which is maize or mini meal. And for me, I'm one person who is very keen on looking at, you know, some of these computations that we have, like the CPI and all that, the food basket and all that, because at the end of the day, I believe, Doc, that our economics, whatever we teach, everything, should result in people's lives changing to the better. If other than that, then you're just making noise. That's why that's my take. So I'm looking at it from the aspect of the consumer price index that, you know, weights more on maize. So definitely we are going to see maize scarcity because of this low supply, especially from the southern part and many regions of Zambia, that will not be able to give us enough maize stock. So we will have that supply, and when there's insufficient supply, definitely the prices will get to rise. According to just basic economics, system, the lower supply and demand. That puts pressure on government, you know, to see to it that they are able to still support people with, food. But a very interesting case that we are in is the fact that Zambia, you know, is on an IMF program, Doc, and you will get to see that part of the conditions do not support, you know, subsidies on, you know, consumption. So I'm very much interested to see how the government is going to maneuver around this to ensure that, you know, people are able to afford the basic needs. And if at all, well, if you're going to continue using ZNS, I don't think that would be a very sustainable tool to use to actually supply maybe relatively cheaper maize, because definitely, even as we are talking now, going around the shops, mini meal is almost going up to 400 now. I was actually going through a shop today, it's about 385. I was like, no, by maybe a month from now, we'll just be saying 400. So you need 4 actually highest notes to get a bag of mini meal, which is very unfortunate in a country. Yeah.
It's almost hitting 400.
Yeah, it's almost hitting 400. That is, you know, from other players. Of course, we have the ZNS mini meal, which is a government initiative to try and, you know,
try
to. I know what you're going to do, but that is a very good initiative to some extent. It's trying to also support those that are not able to buy, you know, that maize.
But the queue is not cruel, you know, when
Yes, they are, especially in these, towns, maybe even outside the line of rail, because we find that maybe ZNS can only give maize at one particular shop. If there's only one shop right in that particular province, then everyone will have to queue for that, bag of meal there. So that's the sustainability part where we're a bit concerned.
One bag per family.
Yes, and you see, other unscrupulous people, there's always that moral hazard that comes in. We'll send people to line up and give them 5 kwacha, and buy one, and then they take and they go and sell it, when they don't
market
know.
economy.
Yeah, so you see, it's
when there's an arbitrage condition, a trader is going to take advantage of low prices by buying cheap and selling expensive to make a profit.
Definitely. So we have all these issues to deal with. So looking at also the pressure on government to where are they going to get the maize, to continue giving ZNS. So if we are importing, then definitely it increases, the pressure on budget.
I just saw today as the government is importing power.
Yes, from Mozambique. Yes, I read that actually. Yeah. So meaning that you are putting pressure on the budget. Is it part of the budget? Did you plan for it and the like?
Maybe we can allow the mines to go and import directly.
Well, I'm not sure if that is actually something that is applicable.
To import from where? From whom?
Where I don't know, because I think, well, there is a
Speaking of electricity, is there a looming possibility of a tariff hike?
No, the tariff hikes have been there. It's not even a rumor or something. There is a schedule that has been put that ZESCO has to transition towards, cost-reflective tariff. Of course, we did the cost of service, study. I think that was done, and it was revealed that you're below cost. You're charging below cost in terms of tariffs. Zambia is one of the lowest in terms of tariffs, so that's the more reason you find many people flocking to Zambia to import, to buy power from here. Because we're actually low, and even investors that would want to invest in the energy sector, we're a bit reluctant, because if they do their maths and all their costs and all that, but we can't, supply power at that rate, so, but we cannot just come up with an abrupt change that will actually skyrocket inflation and all that. So the government is transitioning smoothly. So even next month, there's supposed to be an upward adjustment to the tariff rate. But it will be a bit difficult for ZESCO to actually realize maximum revenue because of this load shedding. People maybe are just buying power once a month in 2 months. So that same power they have bought will have to last them 2 months because of this load shedding issue. So ZESCO is losing out at the end of the day still. But to answer your question, yes, ZESCO is transitioning towards cost effectiveness to also make investments attractive in the energy sector.
Director, do we have any messages?
Okay, so speaking of economic prospects, what are we supposed to do in order to increase production and balance payment of
support? All right.
Trade payments.
You see, you cannot jump to something that that you'll never after some time. I don't believe that we just jump and say that this is what will give me maximum revenue. A business you've never gone into so much, or maybe you've never focused on so much. We know Zambia for mining. Everyone out there, wherever you go, Zambia is known for copper, is known for mining. So that is where our strength is, and whatever we do in the mining sector is very key to whatever production we'll be talking about. So I think the lifeline for Zambia's economy still lies in the mining sector. We still have unexplored minerals. We're just discovering sugilite. In 2 years, who knows how long sugilite has been mined, and who has been benefiting out of that. So that can just tell you that Zambia still has vast potential to grow in terms of from the mining sector being the main spinner of our economic growth. Of course, if you look at our National Development Plan, the 8th National Development Plan, we are talking of manufacturing, we are talking about tourism, we are talking about agriculture. Of course, mining comes in also. So we are talking of 4 sectors that are going to foster growth for the economy. But I'm not so sure about agriculture because, of course, these we are now learning the lessons of depending on rainfall. So it will take a bit of some time for us to actually, fully maximize the potential that is in agriculture sector. Now we are now talking about no irrigation method. So it doesn't just happen overnight. But with mining, it has been done over the years. It's something that has been giving Zambia maximum revenue, if you ask me. So
as we conclude, a lot of things going on. We have the mining industry being fixed. We have debt restructuring almost done. We have challenges with energy and food. What should Zambians hope for? What should Zambians expect towards the end of the year?
Very interesting. I love the way that you've actually closed it for this year.
Yes.
Well, this I know there's that jubilation about debt restructuring and all that, and of course others expect Christmas. Like, I can use your language, you like using such language. It's not Christmas per se, and I love the way the Minister of Finance came out to say we are not done yet, and this does not mean that Zambia is free. There's more to be done now. The fact that now we'll be required to pay debt. Service the Eurobond debt, which we are not doing, previously. So meaning that the government's money that will be generated, most of it probably will go into towards debt service. Of course, not at that level that we would have been paying without debt restructuring. So which is a relief, but we are still under the IMF program, so certain things will not be done. That Zambians probably would expect, maybe subsidies on fuel. That one can't come because under the conditions of IMF, that is not considered to be, something that is priority. So that fuel will still remain, determined by the market forces in terms of the exchange rate and also the prices on the international market. So looking at the prospects going forward, I think we still have pressure because we'll be importing we are importing energy. We'll be importing food. We'll be importing food, especially grain. So that puts pressure, of course, on your currency, even as much as you are supposed to benefit from the news that the debt has been restructured. You still have the downside risks that are coming up from the importation pressure and also energy that has affected output. So you may not even produce more or maybe enough for you to earn much forex. So there will be that dampened output. So our growth projections are likely to be revised downwards. I think that is the objective way of looking at it. Inflation likely to remain high, elevated, of course, within this double digit. We've still seen it drifting away from the target range. We are now at 13.7. Which shows you that there's still a lot of pressure with regards to inflation. And so I think going forward, Zambians at least should still maintain a tight belt. I think that's the simple message I can put, because nothing is coming easy now. The economies, even our neighbors, are struggling. So there will be that struggle for the little maize that will be around. Even Zambia, Malawi is also calling for what? Zimbabwe has also declared a disaster. So all have hands begging.
$2 billion.
You see, so it's quite tight. But we expect that we will receive support from cooperating partners that may ease the pressure on the national budget. Of course, I did hear the Minister of Finance did mention that they are looking at revising the budget, and probably they'll be sitting shortly. And of course, we have already made a call for the 2025 budget submission, which to me, I was thinking, isn't it just too early, because there are a lot of dynamics that will that will happen along the year. This is just first quarter, people, unless you are telling us to be open until maybe October, people will keep submitting, I think. Then it will make sense. But if you close, just this quarter, I think you miss out a lot of things that should have been, submitted, at the end, at the right time. We usually do it maybe August, somewhere there. But I was maybe we want to get the submissions early. But just to close in, like the doc has said, what we expect by close of 2024, it will be quite a challenging year, being precise. But it would have been worse if we didn't have this debt restructuring deal. So we should be grateful that it has given us a bit of relief. Imagine if the government will have gone ahead to pay that much, to the bondholders, about 4.7 billion, which the minister mentioned. That was quite huge. You're taking almost the whole budget, going towards debt service. So, but we are very fortunate that the government worked hard to achieve that. So, as much as we are going to have to feel the pinch, it will be something that will be at least minimized. So, I just call upon everyone to. So if you start working around, your home budget, your household budget, start getting rid of certain things that you can, live without, and concentrate on food. I think food will become priority in most homes. So let's concentrate on food. If you can have a backyard garden, even better, because the cost of food is likely to shoot. Yeah. So food inflation will remain high. So let's see how we can minimize on certain things that, yeah.
Thank you very much. You are watching Economic Briefcast on Camnet TV. Today we were discussing the prospects of Zambia's economy. See you next week. Different topic, same time, same people. Bye-bye.